Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. This is Dr. Patience Abiedu, popularly known as My Patience Abiedu, and I want to welcome you today to our program, The Horizon, the Voice of the Amba Woman. Today, I will be commenting on two important subjects. The first topic, in fact, our title of our program today is Staying the Course Amidst Trials and Tribulations. So with that said, I want to always begin the program by saluting our ASA. I appreciate you for defending our territory, for defending our people, and for standing for the truth. I also want to salute our friends and family members that are residing in neighboring La République du Cameroon, knowing that you're not there because you want to, but because you were driven from your homes because of the war that Paul Biya of La République du Cameroon leashed on our people. I also want to salute our friends and family members that are refugees in neighboring Nigeria and other parts of Africa and all over the world, that we are on this course together. We believe that the truth shall set us free, and one day we will all go back home to our beautiful Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia and build it to be the best country in Africa. With that said, I want to say that the first part of our program today is going to be one talking about the recent trial of the Kansas City 3. And the bulk of the program will be commenting on the president's audio, because the message from the president covers everything. I don't have anything new to share, but I'm going to talk about it in my own, as my own person, shedding what I believe, shedding what most of you already know, and then enlightening you further. So with that said, I would like our producers to play that audio of the president about the Kansas City 3, knowing that they were recently sentenced sometime early this week.
Fellow Ambazonians, a few days ago, a judge in the United States steered a case to what many legal minds are calling an inevitable conviction. One attorney who attended the session told me, "I have never seen anything like this in the history of the judiciary." Our three brothers were detained for 3 years, 3 good years, without bail and without trial. During that time, 3 public defenders resigned from the case out of frustration because the only assignment they were effectively given was to pressure their clients into a plea deal. Our brothers refused. They stood their ground. After all, what kind of justice demands that the innocent must plead guilty before they can be set free? And if you must plead guilty, guilty of what? What exactly? When the prosecution finally secured a plea deal from one of the 3, that brother became their lone cooperating witness. There were no real witnesses for the prosecution apart from this collaborating witness and a so-called expert witness flown in from Rwanda. An expert who claimed to work with an organization that allegedly has representatives in Cameroon. But that person has never set foot in Cameroon. The judge dropped the terrorism-related charge. Yet, from the very start of the trial, she shaped the proceedings in a way that shocked all seasoned legal observers in that court. She forbade the defense from bringing in the Southern Cameroon struggle or any other liberation struggle in the world into the trial. This might sound neutral on the surface, but in reality, it denied the accused the right to explain the context of their actions. And without context, you cannot argue self-defense. Without context, you cannot show motive. Without context, you cannot tell the whole truth. That was not just a technical error, in my opinion. It was a profound miscarriage of justice. Under this gag order, Our comrades chose on the last day not to make any statements in court. I believe their attorneys advised them to remain silent and preserve their grounds for appeal. However, this is my opinion. In a jury trial where the accused is effectively the attorney in fact for themselves and their cause, one might have used that moment in front of the jury to present the full story, the full truth, until the judge physically stopped them. But here is what happened instead. Every time the judge wanted to restrict the defense, she first ordered the jury out of the courtroom. When a defense attorney tried to compare what was happening in the southern Cameroons with the American Civil War, the judge asked the jury to leave the room, then rebuked the attorney outside the jury's hearing. The jury of 12 people never saw the pressure, they never saw the rebukes, they never saw the silencing going on in the court. To make matters worse, the defense was not allowed to call its own expert witnesses, even though 2 were present in court. And the result, the judge made the trial effectively one-sided. The jury reached a verdict based on a record that was about 90% prosecution and maybe 10% or so defense. The verdict was predictable under such conditions. It was justice done? In my view, the answer is an emphatic no. Not in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Not in a nation that claims equality before the law. Justice must not only be done, it must be seen to have been done. And here in this case, it was neither. Our comrades were not tried for fighting for the southern Cameroons and Amazonia as such. They were tried for specific actions the FBI tied to them as individuals. And tragically, much of the evidence the FBI used against them was information they volunteered to law enforcement without a warrant and often without fully understanding the implications. Let this be a hard but necessary lesson. Law enforcement officers are not your comrades. They do not volunteer information to them. If the law requires them to get a warrant before they talk to you or search you, let them get the warrant before they search you or your property. This is not stubbornness. It is called legality and knowing your rights. We want justice for our brothers and for all. A guilty verdict is a legal opinion based on limited facts. The true verdict is based on the truth. Facts can be manipulated. Facts can be filtered. Facts can be suppressed. The truth is divine. Truth does not change. And that is why truth must prevail. Earlier today, I spent time reading about Fidel Castro, and Nelson Mandela. I came away strengthened. Castro was branded a villain by much of the world, but I listened to his final speech at the age of 90, frail yet unbroken. And I saw how the people revered him. He was almost like a god. Mandela was officially labeled a terrorist, even by the United States of America, by the Congress of the United States. For more than 27 years, he was only removed from the terrorist blacklist after he became president of South Africa. So I ask you, who told you that our freedom depends on other people deciding whether we are right or wrong? Who gave any human being the divine right to define justice for another people fighting for survival and dignity? Who? History and history's true judges are not courtrooms. They are not courtroom officials, but generations yet unborn. My call today for commitment. I want to call every one of you to be calm and to renew your commitment. We, as your leaders in this government, will continue to defend our people. I can say that for myself. We will continue to exercise our right to self-determination. It's within the law. We'll continue to respect international humanitarian law and require everyone that is working with us to do same. We will continue to obey the laws of the countries where we are residing. We will avoid any action that could unjustly indict any one of us, including me, or this government, or the struggle itself. We must fight smart, not just fight hard. And hard we will fight. Can a fish resign from swimming because it is raining? No. The fish is at home in the water. The rain does not scare it. If you are a monkey or a baboon, you might run from the rain. But we are not running. We are not built to panic at every storm. We are fishes. We know the waters. We understand the struggle, and the rain is not our problem. There are generals in this revolution. I think I am one of them in the United States. These generals, we are the face, the public face of our struggle in the diaspora. If the United States as a state were truly against the struggle, we will not be able to assemble and address you on anything, on any platform. We will not be organizing openly. We will not be traveling freely. We will not be engaging with policymakers in Washington as we do right now. Some of us have been reported to the FBI countless times by internal and external spoilers. We know them, many of them. But the FBI does not simply pick people up because someone gossiped them to the FBI. They require probable cause and facts that can convince a judge that a crime is being committed to the point that the judge can issue a warrant before they can go after you. If the U.S. wanted to declare our activities in the United States criminal as a movement, they will move against the entire movement, not just individuals on specific actions. They will shut down our organizations. We are all registered by the state. Or they will simply designate our struggle as a terrorist entity. They have not done so. They are not in the process of doing so. They are not contemplating that. We must not live in fear of our own shadows. This injustice against our brothers must be corrected. This is why appeal court exists. This is the typical case why appeal courts exist. My only sorrow is the pain of their continued incarceration while the legal process runs its course. But I'm almost certain of one thing, that if we do not abandon them, if we stay organized, focused, and lawful, justice will be done at the appellate level, at the appeal level. Our duty now is to support them legally, morally, materially, financially. Stay united, refuse despair, and finish what we started as a people seeking freedom, not chaos. Despite this bitter moment, I want you to hear me clearly. We have a golden opportunity today to finish strong and triumphantly. The enemy's power is declining in every sphere, politically, morally, and militarily. This is not the time to scatter. This is not the time to withdraw. This is the time to tighten our ranks, stay disciplined in our actions and speech, stand by our prisoners of conscience at home and abroad, advance our cause with courage and wisdom. We are not done. We are not defeated. We are not refined. We are just being refined. We are just being refined. May God comfort our brothers in chains, strengthen their families, and guide our legal team. May He grant us the grace to stand for truth until truth stands openly for us. Long live the people of Southern Cameroon and Amazonia. Long live our prisoners of conscience. The struggle continues and justice will have the final word. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I thought that it was relevant to play this audio again so that we hear the president's message. But I want to also comment on a few aspects of the audio. The first thing that I want to address is the fact that our three brothers that were arrested 3 years ago were really kept without a trial or without them having an ability to defend themselves for a long time. So you wonder, why did it take 3 years for them to decide on a trial date? As the president said in his audio, that one of them decided to plead, do a plea deal with them, and so that it was an opportunity for them to take them to trial. But this show today is talking about trials and tribulations. In our journey that we are on to Boya, our journey is really based on the truth. I had said once that I came across a saying that the truth about freedom is that freedom requires the truth. So during this case, we understand from the legal team, Barrister Ghana was there, we understand that the truth was not really visited. The trial was focused only on what happened, and our brothers were not given the opportunity, or the legal team was not given the opportunity to talk about the circumstances, talk about the environment, talk about La République du Cameroun in any form, any shape, any way. So how do you get a fair trial when you cannot defend yourself? Because essentially, they were not able to defend themselves. So whatever was thrown at them stuck. That is exactly what happened. But he also asked the question, is that really how the legal system normally works? Now I'm going to just make throw away some possibilities here that just perhaps La République's lobby propaganda or lobby machine is so strong that their lobby system got into the judicial system and had that system aware that they should not look further into what Cameroon is doing. I don't have the facts, but I wonder why a judge that is supposed to hear everything around to convict somebody, they are really essentially to be not guilty until proven guilty. But in this case, they were really guilty because once they were locked up, they didn't have any opportunity to go listen to a pre-trial before setting this date 3 years down the road. So if we know the truth, we know that we are working in a system that there are people who will throw us under the bus one way or the other. We have to be very careful in what we do. We always have to stand for the truth. We have to do things that are just and right. And this message goes also to our ASA, because La République has an agenda. They have done terrible things, and the world is watching. These days of satellites here and there, things are being picked up and stored, so that you may think that you are free from some evil plot, some evil thing that you've done in the past. It will come to light someday. So our ASA, if your family members that you know who these ASAs are, you know them, your brothers and sisters, you need to educate them to always stand for the truth and do whatever it takes to just protect themselves and protect our territories, and never do anything that will harm our people in any way, shape, or form. The president also mentioned that the legal system, the lawyers who had the facts were kicked out of court, or they were banned not to say anything. That also tells us that we have the grounds for an appeal. And in his message, he's saying that this is a time that we cannot let our brothers suffer. We have to come together and support them. And the best way to support them is to raise funds for their legal team. I'm sure that will be something that will be done eventually in the future, but I think we should be ready for that. Because if we think about it, they will not be where they are now if we're not fighting to free our land. That is a fact. If we're not fighting to free our land, if La République had not started killing our people on November 30th, 2017. If La Republique did not burn our villages, if La Republique did not kill our young men and women indiscriminately, because you guys have to remember what happened in those days. They were killing boys 13 years and older, 12 to 13 years to, and older, because they wanted to eliminate our sons. If all of this were not happening or did not happen, there would have been no justification for us to have processes in place to try to fight against La République du Cameroun. And these three brothers, Chemni, Claude, and Lamni, or I should say Frank, Claude, and Lamni, will not be where they are today. So in some sense, we owe them. We owe them. There's always a bright, for anything that is a problem, any painful incident that happens in one's life or in one's community, there's always a bright side to it. What do I mean by that? Upon appeal, because this will take place, this will be the time for us, for the world, to understand what is happening in Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. So we may feel despaired, we may feel saddened by what has happened, but there will be a window that will open up for us to tell the world exactly the injustices that have occurred to our people and why we are on this journey. The president also mentioned that the United States of America is aware of what we are doing. We openly go on Zoom or ABC. Some of our programs are on YouTube. We have meetings that sometimes some of them attend those meetings. They are aware that we have a fundamental right to exercise what we are doing to free our people. As a matter of fact, in the days of Team Ambazonia, the U.S. State Department, through USIP, United States Institute of Peace, participated, giving us advice, teaching us about similar problems in terms of people trying to get independence. So they are aware of all of this, otherwise they would not put resources to educate us. So that gives me confidence that we're not supposed to be afraid, because sometimes people hear that, they've locked up 3 of them, so perhaps they're going to lock up more of them. No, that's not the case. In fact, it makes us stronger. It makes us more purposeful to pursue this journey. The president said something that a fish will not stop swimming because it's raining too much. We're not going to just disappear because we are afraid because of what happened to our 3 brothers. The truth always sets us free. The true Ambazonians that are fighting for this have nothing to hide. They have nothing to hide. Because if you look at history, we remember that when La République and Southern Cameroon came together, they were supposed to be equal parties to the federation. One was not superior to the other. Not at all. So if you just think about that La République du Cameroun, that had its independence on the 1st of January 1960, and La République du Cameroon, which did not vote for us to have our own independence. Remember that the resolution 1608, the countries that voted for independence, La République du Cameroun voted no. So did France and quite a few French colonies. They all voted no. Yet, 1608, we had 64 countries that voted in our favor to have independence. So we had our independence on October 1st, 1961. On the same day after we had our independence on October 1st, 1961, we subsequently became a federated state with La République du Cameroun. So only that fact should make us know that we're standing on solid grounds why we want to have our nation back. Because over the course of time, we've come to understand that the sole goal of La République du Cameroun was to assimilate us. So they were manipulating us so that eventually we will just dissolve. You know that phrase, 2 cubes of sugar dissolving? We will just dissolve. But we are not sugar, we are iron. We are solid. So the only way, as I've said numerous times on this program, is that for La République du Cameroun and Southern Cameroons to be in peace is to have us respect our boundaries at independence and become good neighbors. So I just want to end this portion of today's program about the Kansas City 3 to say that yes, it is painful. We feel for the families, the wives and children of our comrades, and we should find ways to always keep them closer to us, always pray for them, and support them as best as we can. But the most important support will be when it comes to collecting funding for their defense. We should all participate and give something. Okay, I'm going to move on to the other part of the program today, and I think you'll find this exciting because these are all justification of why we are staying the course amidst trials and tribulations. It goes back to our history. It goes back to our history. Before I have the next video played, I want to read a few things. And even before I do that, I want us to remember that a lot of people have fought for us to be here where we are today. We did not just wake up on September 22nd, 2017, that we want the Republic to leave. You know, there were so many people that had done things along the way. So many people that had done things along the way. You know, even in the days of Foncha, Muna, whom we've condemned several times, but even he himself, in one of his last write-ups, was fed up and believed that someday La République and Southern Cameroons would be separate nations. So we know that from Endele, Foncha, Muna, Jua, they did their best at during their time. Since then, other people have come along. So I want us to play this video of Pa Gojindinka to remind us, to give us hope, but also to give a very important message to our Southern Cameroonians, parliamentarians, or senators that reside in La Republic of Cameroon. So if we can play that video now, this is a perfect time. Thank you so much.
We were advised by colleagues in the United Nations. We have examined the documentation of how you people got together and found that there is nothing at the UN here which legalizes the Republic of Cameroon ruling your country. But your MPs, the people you have elected, are giving legitimacy by the fact that they are participating in the government of the Republic of Cameroon. The God who got us into this servitude is the one bringing us out. I feel confident about it because when our people started having these pro-independence riots, like in Bamenda usually, where they burnt a whole police station and calling for singing home again, trying to get this push back out of our country. In response, the Cameroon government enacted a law of the United Republic of Cameroon, law number 84/01. They, in the debates for it, they said the question of calling this thing the United Republic of Cameroon gives the impression that there are two countries that are united. We should therefore make sure this united is out so that there should be no trace that there was another country. Little did they know that the outcome of reinventing the Republic of Cameroon is that legally you have also reinvented the sovereignty of the other country. So the law which they intended to wipe us out is the law that dissolved the illegal union. That is the work of God. There was a proclamation formalizing the sovereignty of our country. We filed that at the United Nations. That was the first time I came here. We filed in the United Nations in 1990. And we were advised by colleagues in the United Nations. We have examined the documentation of how you people got together and found that there is nothing at the UN here which legalizes the Republic of Cameroon ruling your country. But your MPs, the people you have elected, are giving legitimacy by the fact that they are participating in the government of the Republic of Cameroon. If you can get your people to boycott that parliament, we'll give you a seat here, because we applied for a seat to be given to Ambazonia in the United Nations. So I had this discourse with Frundi by phone. Donald Ngundam was here. It was a conference call. I told him what the situation was. And it required just blackmail. It's a matter of writing a letter to these MPs that by the 31st of October, you stop going to Yaoundé, because Yaoundé Parliament was to meet about the 4th or 6th of November. If they were absent from that parliament for only 48 hours, we would have been free. In fact, even today, you people who say you have control about these boys back home, if they could get our members of parliament to be absent from Yaoundé Parliament, we will become free. So, Frundi, we airmailed the papers to him. When they arrived, Frundi took them and burnt them. We couldn't understand what happened. However, a separate set was sent to Yongbang in Douala. He took it across to Stephen Tita in Limbe. Stephen Tita summoned the 4 members of parliament from Fako, and it was a unanimous support to boycott. It was 100% support. Those 4 members of parliament said there has to be a boycott. But then, before they realized, they heard that Grafi people were already in Yaoundé. MPs were there. They had to, because they had not received any papers. They had not seen any. So this is how we lost.
Well, that was a short clip from our renowned, revered Goje Dinka, giving us some facts about our journey. So our journey has involved a lot of powerful, prominent people, and will not just end because a couple of three of our brothers have been locked up. This video that we just watched, it comes with some more information. I came across this document that I want to read that has some facts that, as long as we remember these facts, we will always know that God is on our side, and eventually we will prevail. And think about things that happened in South Africa. Nelson Mandela, he was locked up for over 20 years, and eventually he came out and apartheid was abolished. So history tells us that when you keep on fighting for truth and justice, God is going to be on your side, and eventually you will prevail. So this is in legal terms. So I'm going to just read the whereas, just to affirm what has happened in the past. This document was written in September 26, from September 26 to 28, 2003, from the Minnesota Affirmation of the Statehood and Independence of the Federal Republic of Southern Commons. I'm reading this to tell our people that we've really gone through steps by step. Until now, we are Southern Commons government in exile. But there's a history that I want us to always remember. It says, and pay attention to the words. It says, whereas by act of self-determination of 11th February 1961, the southern part of the United Nations Trust Territory of British Cameroons decided, within the limits of the two alternatives imposed on her by the United Nations, to achieve independence by joining the Independent and Southern Republic du Cameroon, Republic of Cameroon, whereas the term joining was by common agreement between Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun, understood to mean forming a two-state federal union of two partners equal in status, whereas La République du Cameroun is the name and style under which the contiguous United Nations Trust Territory of French Cameroon acceded to statehood when she achieved independence from France on 1st January 1960, and under which she was admitted to membership of the United Nations on 20th September 1961, whereas on 19th April 1961, the United Nations General Assembly pronounced itself in favor of the independence of British Southern Commons by a vote of 50, I see 50 yes, and 2 no, and 9 absentees. Oh, that's correct. Whereas United Nations Resolution 1608 declared the British Southern Commons independent and terminated the trusteeship agreement concerning the territory with effect from October 1st, 1961. Whereas on the said 1st October 1961, the Southern Cameroons achieved independence, and by an act of voluntary limitation of sovereignty also joined La République du Cameroun as one of the two components states of the emergent independent and sovereign Cameroon Federal Republic. Remember, it was a federal republic. Whereas the Cameroon Federal Republic was to be an inter-parliamentary union, I-N-T-E-R, parliamentary union not an interterritorial union, similar to the current European Union, with each state maintaining its parliament and House of Assembly. Whereas the agreed to Cameroon Federal Republic legally came into being on 1st October 1961, the Southern Cameroons, La République du Cameroun, becoming the self-governing federated states of West Cameroon and East Cameroon, respectively, because after that, the name we were called West Cameroon and they were called East Cameroon, equal parties. Whereas the actual choice which created the union of the two Cameroon nations was made by the Southern Cameroons alone, not by La République du Cameroun. And in the absence of that choice, the union would not have come into existence. Let me read this again. Whereas the actual choice which created the union of the two Cameroon nations was made by the Southern Cameroons alone, not by La République du Cameroun. And in the absence of that choice, the union would not have come into existence. Whereas the Constitution of the Cameroon Federal Republic protected the interests of the spatially and demographically smaller Southern Cameroons vis-a-vis La République du Cameroun in two critical ways. It gave the smaller state power to veto any legislation by the bigger state that would detrimentally affect the interests of the smaller state, and it provided for the perennity of the federation itself and ipso facto of the two constituent states. Whereas that's where the problem started now. Whereas in May 1972, without consulting the government of the West Cameroon federated state, Ahidjo went on to organize an illegal, unconstitutional, and fraudulent referendum to impose a unitary state on the people of the federated state. So we know some of this, we know this, but it's very important to keep on reminding us this. That's why I deem it necessary to read this, because it's documented. Everybody knows about it, but it's good to remind us every time so that we know why we are staying the course. Whereas on June 1972, Ahidjo then issued the notorious proclamation DF-270, by which he unilaterally, unconstitutionally, illegally, and fraudulently abrogated the Inter-Parliamentary Union Agreement, abolished the federal constitution and the federation, abolished the government, legislature, and the houses of assembly and chiefs of the West Cameroon state. That happened in 1972, done by Ahidjo himself. Whereas the revolutionary overthrow of the federal constitutional order was accompanied by a massive, forcible takeover of the Southern Cameroons, the destruction of its legal personality, and the destruction of the very foundation on which the union of the two states in status, Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun, was predicted. Whereas this treason constituted a repudiation and a dismemberment of the federal union between Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun. Whereas the arbitrary and illegal dissolution of the federal union by the political leadership of La République du Cameroun extraction necessarily meant that the obligation of the Southern Cameroons to continue its political association with La République du Cameroun lost its effect and ceased to be binding by operation of the clausula rebus sic stantibus. I don't know legal terms, but I'm just reading what I see here. Whereas the unilateral and forcible dissolution of the federation was a ploy used to effect the annexation, colonization, and armed occupation of the Southern Cameroons by La République du Cameroun. And let me just stop here for a moment. We remember during the climate conference in Paris, where Biya was being interviewed, and he alluded to the fact that they've tried to assimilators. They've tried for us to be co-opted into their system for several years, but they failed. They failed. And it's clear that it will never happen because we have two distinct backgrounds, origins, history. Whereas the status of the Southern Cameroons has since then been intolerably debased from that of a self-governing independent state within an overarching federal system to that of a colonial dependency under the suzerainty of a foreign state, to wit, La République du Cameroon. Whereas the people of the Southern Cameroons have thus become an annexed and colonized people anew, a people under alien subjugation. Whereas the situation of annexation and colonization obtaining in the Southern Cameroons was reaffirmed as from February 1984, allowing a decree law number 84001, which Pat Gojindika mentioned in his in the video that we just watched. This law decree number 84-001, issued by President Biya, reviving La République du Cameroon, which had been extinct since 1st October 1961, when it federated with the Southern Cameroons. And the Gojindika said that because of that law, it cleared that La République had seceded back to what it was. Therefore, we are our own people. In a sense, because they left and went back to us and became La République du Cameroon, that means that when you do subtraction, when you subtract something, whatever is left is what it was there before. Southern Cameroons, in essence, stayed as Southern Cameroons, the former British Trust Territory. Whereas the revived La République du Cameroon did not confine itself to its colonial defined and inherited boundaries as it stood on her attainment of independence on the 1st of January 1960, but instead embarked on territorial expansion by laying unwarranted claims to the Southern Territory, to the territory of Southern Cameroons. So it's saying that when La République in 1984, February 1984, when they reverted to their name that they had when they had independence, then they should stay within their own territory. But they did not. They, in a sense, annexed us. They pulled us and wanted our territory to have the same name that they have. Whereas La République du Cameroon's armed repression of the Southern Cameroons has known no respite, and the territory's oil and other natural resources continue to be rapaciously exploited for the benefit of La République du Cameroon. Whereas the Southern Cameroons produces 70% of the GDP and receives only a token of 3% reinvestment from the repressive regime of La République du Cameroon, whereas colonization, annexation, territorial expansion, exploitation, imperialism in all its manifestations and forms are impermissible under international law and exposed by all peace-loving and law-abiding nations. So this phrase is very important. It's telling us that's why we are staying the course. That's why through trials and tribulations, we are staying the course, because our foundation is based on the truth. And this I'm reading is just to solidify that truth in your brains, that you don't give up, because the truth shall set us free. Whereas the people of the Southern Cameroons are entitled to self-determination and sovereignty with full control over their natural resources, whereas La République du Cameroon has no legitimate interest or protected right in the Southern Cameroons, whereas no state or international organization is ever justified asserting that an individual nation is not worthy of existence, because that's what La République du Cameroon has essentially done. It's saying that we came into this union with good intentions, but they had different intentions. And they are really saying that we don't need to exist. We don't have to exist. We don't belong. And the main thing is because our land is so rich, and that's all they want from us, our resources. Whereas no government or people have the right to say that another people have no right to determine themselves and to live in dignity so as to secure a hopeful future for themselves, their children, and their grandchildren. Think about this. What hope is it there for our children and grandchildren? Remember that for a long time, and still now going, most of our students, our children, do not even have the ability to have a great education. And this was even before the war, because La Republique had imposed its poor systems in our educational system, because they know that a people that are not educated can easily be manipulated. So they want the next generations of our children that are growing up now to be uneducated, to not be savvy enough to work in the system, because eventually they are educating their own kids will take charge, and which is what has been happening to control the land. Whereas the people of the Southern Cameroons, presently under the colonial rule and alien domination of La République du Cameroun, have, under international law and the law of nature, an unquestionably right to assert their statehood and claim the intangibility of the boundaries of the Southern Cameroons in conformity with the principles of uti possidetis, whereas La République du Cameroon's illegal occupation of and usurpations in the Southern Cameroons betray her long unhealthy and predatory designs in the Southern Cameroons. And again, I'll remind us of Biya's declaration during the climate accord in Paris, because that was all the agenda. That was an agenda item for them all along. Whereas, pursuant to the plan concerted by France and La République du Cameroun for annexing and subjugating the Southern Cameroons, the said Republic du Cameroun has, in criminal disregard of natural, international, and municipal law, usurped and maintained an unlimited, uncontrolled, and pernicious power over the persons, liberties, territory, and properties of the people of Southern Cameroons. This statement really shows what has happened, because remember, in the days of Abiedu, anybody who was able to voice the objection that the people of Southern Cameroons have been manipulated disappeared. A lot of people disappeared or were arrested and locked up. So our people were in fear. Thank God today for social media, we are able to speak freely, boldly, and the people back home. That's why we are here in the, diaspora. We're able to run our mouths. It's a fact that if I were living in Southern Cameroons right now, I will not be able to say what I'm saying right now. Not because I don't believe in what I'm saying, but because I will be disappeared, right? So we know that most of our brothers and sisters that are there right now understand these facts. They believe in this. They want to free us, but they cannot speak the truth, even though the truth will set us free. Whereas in September 1995, the CAM and SCAM, these were scam, we know about scam, conducted throughout the Southern Cameroons a signature referendum on the separate independence of the Southern Cameroons. Whereas, in response to the referendum question, do you want the Southern Cameroons to achieve full independence by peaceful separation from La République du Cameroun, the Southern Cameroons electorate returned an overwhelming 99% yes vote, So this is even before the one done by late, I just forgot the name. I'm getting one of those, my elderly, the memory, the folk memory, but you know what I'm talking about. To me, he did his own survey, and it was clear that the people want to own their land. We Southern Cameroonians, we want to have total control of our land, to have our people pursue happiness on their own governance. And let me read the final statement. All these whereases come up with some affirmation. So even before we now as a government, I'm just saying that history has shown that there have been stages where different people have fought for us to have this right to call ourselves Southern Cameroons Ambazonia. So it says, now therefore, we, the Congress of the willing people of Southern Cameroons, as honored bound by the mandate given to us by the people of Southern Cameroons, whose will is supreme, duly met in conference in Minnesota, and in order to provide in degree of the exigencies of the Southern Cameroons in the present alarming period, and having held mutual consultation, and in order to ensure for the people of Southern Cameroons full self-government, equality, peace, human dignity, social justice, and the rule of law, proclaim and uphold the declaration of the separate independence of Southern Cameroons, already made by Justice Ebong Eboya in December 30, 1999, and do hereby enter into the following resolve to wit: affirm and proclaim the Federal Republic of Southern Cameroons as founded on God, our Creator, in whom we trust. Affirm and proclaim recommendations by the Constituent Assembly to use the Southern Cameroons Constituted Order of Council, instrument number 1654 of 1960, as the main reference for the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Southern Cameroons. Affirm and proclaim the recommendation of the Constituent Assembly related to Southern Cameroons state symbol, anthem, flag, seal, motto. Affirm and proclaim the formation of the interim government, State Restoration Council, and House of Chiefs. And so forth. I'm not going to continue reading this. The purpose of this is I'm just trying to share with us that before we even came on the 1st of October 2017 to restore our independence, there have already been tractions. There have been people working before us based on the knowledge of what happened to us to get us where we are today. So all of this is not in vain. And all of this will not be in vain. Because remember, the truth about freedom is that freedom requires the truth. And this truth is based on our history. Everything that happened from 1960, 1961, the 1990s, where you had AASC 1 and 2, and everything since then. All of this fortifies us. It gives us that stamina, that confidence that we are doing what is right and just. I want to end the program today by saying that there was something mentioned in the video by Goji Dinka. He said something very important. He said that even today I'm speaking, is December 12, 2025. Even today, if those who represent Southern Cameroons, the senators and the parliamentarians, and every Southern Cameroonian that is holding office in La République du Cameroon, decide to leave and go back home to Southern Cameroons and say enough is enough, we've betrayed our people for too long, it's time for us to get that nation that we missed, that was taken away from us. If they do that, I don't know whether it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, or it's easier for them to do that. If they do that, the people of Southern Commons will be free. Ambazonia will come to exist. That is a challenge. Perhaps you guys can work on something, behind the scenes, and just do that so that 2026 we become a free people. That is the shortest way to us getting recognized by the world. That is the shortest method. Our so-called senators, parliamentarians, those chiefs who betrayed us, those who are directorates working in the ministers and all the like from Southern Commons, just pull back. You will be saving generations of Southern Commons from this turmoil. Thank you so much. I want to say that tomorrow, Saturday, December 13th, we have the Be an Angel fund drive for ABC and war victims and our communication network in general, and victims of war. Knowing that we are not able in a position to help every single war victim, we do a sample. We help those who we can, and so there's a fundraising for that tomorrow, a draft, I should say, for that tomorrow. And I want to thank those who've already given their own. A lot of people have already given money through the different channels that have been made to you, and we have a list going on of those who have donated. Thank you so much. And then on Sunday, which is the 14th, we'll do our usual Christmas program where we come together, we dress in red and white. Please remember the uniform or the attire. Let's be in red and white to celebrate Christmas. We are Christian nation, and we will sing carols. We will hear about the birth of Christ. This is a story that we hear every year, but it's always great to hear again because it's just something that is unique, something that is so divine, and we love to do that. So please be prepared for those 2 days to come assemble with us. I want to thank you for being listening to this program today, and to just say that stay the course, don't give up, let hope be what you aspire for, and just know that, as we've always heard every single time, that is a God-ordained journey. And even Goji Dinka mentioned it in his video, that God is with us, and as long as God is with us, we will prevail. So thank you for watching this program today. I hope we will be back next week with a guest, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV.